I'm just noticing right now, there are 2 Jill Remensniders on screen.
Is there?
Now,
Double Jill.
listen, just like the movie Highlander, there can only be one Jill Remensnider. And Tobe just disappeared. Probably it's a sign of defeat, having to change
No,
his
I'm back. I was
Oh,
trying to get rid of the name here. Let me get rid of that. Hide, edit name. Okay. T dog.
Toblerone.
There we go. Okay,
Dog.
we're
But
here.
you know what, folks? Brett and I are in Baker City, Oregon, broadcasting live from a haunted hotel, the historic Geyser Grand. Who knows what could happen? If we have any technical issues, I'm blaming it on the spirits.
Well, so my computer already shut down randomly right before we got on air. We tried to upload some footage. It didn't work out. So, yeah, we're both in unfamiliar locations, different backdrops here. And I love what you've done with your place, Jill. That is so good. That pink drapery. Tell us a little bit about where Aunt Jill is.
Like I said, when you ducked out, we are at the historic Geyser Grand Hotel in Baker City, Oregon,
Okay.
getting ready for our big Bigfoot weekend that we're having out here with you. We'll see you tomorrow, along with Ashley Stinnett, Angelique Benham, Jeff Rohn, and James Shupsky.
Okay. That's a big crowd. That's an A+ crowd right there, Jill.
I think so.
I know
I
so.
think so. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is going to be fun. I got a little bit of drive from your neck of the woods here, and we are entertaining ourselves here as much as possible. I got some Chinese food on my way over. Got to
Good.
stop off at the old Triple Dragon or wherever I went. I don't know, but I'm a fan of myself.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm a little fan of myself of some American Chinese food. I know people like the highfalutin Szechuan stuff, but I like to know my options haven't changed a lot. I'm a creature of habit.
Our neighborhood specializes in like upscale Panda Express. So.
Okay, that's awesome.
And hey, Renee Drew, thank you for your support. We got a $10 donation from Renee.
Thanks, Renee. Thank you. Nice. So I've never been to Baker City. Last time I said Wrangler butts drive me nuts, and I got a little bit of I got some messages from a bunch of anxious people. Let's put it that way. Just like you got to be careful what you say. I didn't know there was so much intention behind that statement.
Well, you're going to be in cowboy country, so
yeah,
you can test the waters out here with that phrase at
my disposal.
At your disposal and at your discernment. You gotta kind of read the room and know who you can say that to.
Right. I'm learning.
That's a good rule in general. Read the room.
Yeah, we've met some people that are really not successful at that. And we met some real winners.
We call those learning opportunities or teaching opportunities.
Yeah, you're way nicer than me. This is the nice side of the podcast. Over here is just like read the room.
Okay. Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, so what have you been up? What else do we want to talk about? Because there's probably some stuff that people want to know about as far as logistics, what they'll be finding in Baker City. Is it a town that closes at 3 o'clock? Because there's a lot of these old towns, and 3 p.m. is just like, well, Sunday through Tuesday we're open. Never. What are we getting into?
For the weekend, you'll have some options. I think also with daylight savings time, and having a little bit more time to run around and get in trouble. I think things stay open just a tad bit later. And we're going into spring break season here in Oregon in like a week or so. Yeah, you'll be safe. If you're here at the hotel, the restaurant's open, the bar's open, and we're right on Main Street. So there's something for everyone.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's about 6.5 hours uh, out of Beaverton area, so I will be heading out first thing in the morning as close as I can. Of course, they're calling for hail. On the way here, there was literally like biblical sized hailstorms. Every spring there's a volatile system that hangs out over the Pacific Northwest, and it does so until about the mid-April. So you really get between the end of April to like the last part of August for decent weather. Like, no one's getting tan lines after the end of August till April. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was Brett walking in the background. That was
Wasn't
not
a shadow man?
Spirits. Yeah, it's just Brett. Hate to disappoint.
Yeah. So, gosh, what's been going on in the Bigfoot world? Have you picked up on anything? I'm a little bit out of the loop. I know I usually come with like slideshows and trivia and snarkiness, but I've been a little bit out of the loop since that whole head cold thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm still sorting through. I got like some information drops today before the live stream that I still need to check some sources on and get some more information before I start opening my mouth and just blah 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 making statements that I have to explain later. So we'll just put a pin in that and circle back later. As far as news, so to speak, I don't know. I've been kind of preoccupied, honestly. I mean, between A Flash of Beauty 3, Voices in the Wilderness, and everything else, I've just I've been in the zone. I haven't had time to be checking out Facebook or YouTube.
Right.
For all the breaking news. Does anyone in the chat have any like screaming hot updates to tell us about?
Oh yeah, let me turn on the chat. I haven't even began to look that way.
Gosh.
We could always put on the overlay, Jill. Should we do that? Put the overlay chat on just for this episode for a little bit?
No, because the last time we did an overlay, there was a lot of stuff we could not edit out. So
oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
You little stinkers, you little stinkers, you little troll stinkers.
We've done a pretty good job of getting rid of most people, but
yeah.
If we do it, there's someone who's gonna come.
Yeah. Well, I see Jackie Barnes on here, who I believe, Jackie, you were just at the Area 58 Museum doing a confessional with Priscilla. Nice work on that. Yeah. Isaiah Love's here. Maybe the best name on here is the one. Jenny Larson. Daryl Adams is here. There's a voice from the Daryl, I saw your big clump of hair that you put on the internet today. He didn't get that out of the bathroom drain. That came from a special spot. Brian S. is here.
Daryl's pulling hair out.
Right. And then, of course, Brett and the moderator. Well, who's new here? Cypress? Do I recognize Cypress? I don't know. Cypress might be new here. Kim Kincaid. And then the Restream bots. Oh, Psycho Foo's here.
Bot. Yeah, and Daryl, I promise I'll get back to you over. I know you sent me some information. It's on my list.
How dare you, Jill?
Where did you go? What do I do with my hands?
Did I pick the wrong angle again?
You disappeared. Oh, there you are.
Go. Sorry.
Good.
All right, go ahead.
So, well, let's talk about. Let's just get into it. I want to get into the Olympic Strange Days episode, number 5, that dropped today for members. Now, it's going to go public tomorrow at 7 a.m. We always try to give our members a head start on everything for all their support they give us. And there's quite a bit of discussion. Now, I want to take full responsibility here. We accidentally, by just things happen. We posted, the video went live last night around, I don't know, 10 or so, 10 or 10:30. Do you remember, Brett?
Yes, 10:30.
10:30ish. And we didn't catch it for about an hour. So we unlisted it because there is a giveaway, like kind of a prize element to this. And I was like, no, we have to pull it so everyone has a fair chance for the members and then the public to. And in the process, some of the comments got deleted.
Not many, because it was literally like 3 or 4, and everybody just reposted it. It was all figured out. I went in the chat and explained what happened. So at 7 a.m. it basically went live, which is when I thought it was going to go live anyway. And so if you haven't seen it yet, like for $5, you can see some of the most compelling. I guess I would call it either FLIR, AI, special effects, or thermal footage of a suspected Sasquatch. And it's very difficult to find anyone who's ever seen this footage before. But do you want me to explain a little bit about where this came from, Jill? Kind of put a backstory?
Please do, please.
Okay.
Oh, Mike Ferry's in the chat. What?
Okay.
Everyone send healing vibes to Mike and his foot that he had surgery on.
I've got a slightly swollen eye here, Mike, so pray for me too. So in 2020, at the Longview conference in Longview, Washington, a Bigfoot conference, I had 2 individuals step up to me and say, "You want to see something really interesting?" And when you're at a Bigfoot festival, the footage that people show on their iPhones, you can spend the whole day not watching speakers or buying tchotchkes, but looking at people's phones all day saying, "Wow, whoa, whoa." Usually it's largely disappointing. Well, let me be fair. Usually it's just a utter S show of just nonsense. And you have to be nice to people and say, "That's amazing." That's the most amazing. Wow, good job. What? How do you do that? I see it. They're there. They're there. Okay. So after 20 years, I'm just being honest. And if I sound fed up, I'm totally fed up with the blob squatches. Like, it's fun for a little bit, but I try not to present blob squatches. I probably have. I've probably been the annoyer. And I don't think that's what this, would it be fair to say, Brett, and you can yell like one of the Muppets in the balcony, Jill, Mike, is it fair to say that this footage doesn't fall in the category of a blob squatch?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay. But it does seem to fall in the category of it being an elaborate hoax. And the reason I say that is because when this footage was airdropped on me, it was never something that you could find on Google reversed images. And that should have been, well, let's go back to 5 years ago.
Yeah.
There was no artificial intelligence on people's smartphone that was accessible. It wasn't commercial grade. Like, if you wanted to do it, you could do it, but you'd have to go places to get it done, like Heineck, right? You'd have to go to Bill Munn's Heineck person and figure it out. It wasn't something like you could download an app. Is that fair, Brett?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair.
Okay. So comment below if you disagree with me. The one thing that was really interesting was in 5 years, I couldn't find it online to say, "Oh, here it is. It's from that TV show." But I could find people that said, "Oh, I know that footage," and they dismissed it. Usually when they looked at the footage, they did not dismiss it. But the ones that did dismiss it usually spent about 28 seconds with it. Not even a full 30, definitely not a minute. And what's funny is the footage is about 40 seconds long. So I go through the list of people that dismiss this footage and I say, okay, that makes sense. And it's an elaborate hoax. So I'll just go through the list now with people that dismiss this footage. And I'm going to end it like I did in the video with the person that I believe the most that is dismissive. The first person that missed it was Cliff. So Cliff spent maybe about 28 seconds looking at the footage in Forks, Washington, and quickly said he knows where it came from. It's a hoax. Move on.
Did he rip your phone from your hand and throw it afterwards?
Right. No, I mean it was on the laptop.
Okay.
Todd Neese of Beachfoot looked at it, and he said that's not fake. That's not any footage that's been out there. I don't know where this even came from. The next people that dismissed it was with the Olympic Project. Now, not like in a dismissive way. They just like, well, it must be a hoax. Like it was given to us as a group, but we can't find any provenance on it. And that's just kind of where they left it. At least they never went public on the OP. Certainly Meldrum's never commented on it. The next person that dismissed it would have been Kathy Strain. That would have been a month ago when I showed her at the conference where the footage was given to me 5 years earlier. And she said, I know this footage. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel. And we debunked it. It was a fact or faked spinoff. And this was one of those clips that we all looked at and I looked at. She even went on to say, and I quote, I spoke to the guy, I believe, on speakerphone, and he told us that it was filmed in, I believe, New Mexico or Arizona. But we never met him. But yeah, she said it's fake. So I went and looked for the footage on said show from the Sci-Fi Network, watched every episode that Kathy Strain was in, anything that said Bigfoot. There was a lot of episodes of this show, so I didn't watch every episode, and I couldn't find it. But I should have been able to find it in reverse images. So now I'm really stumped. So the last person, two more people, I showed it to the director of Expedition Bigfoot. He said if it's a hoax, it's a very elaborate, expensive hoax because of the way they shot it and how much of the footage they showed to get it right, and the costuming, if it's a costume. And the last person that impressed me that it was a hoax was Dave Mason. Now, Dave Mason has a full-time gig as building FLIR units. Okay, he builds FLIR's military contract style. That's what he does, including infrared mixed with FLIR and including full spectrum. It got him into the UFO I team. That was where Terror in the Sky was filmed with those guys on Catalina Island. You can watch the documentary. I had a one-on-one with him on Zoom with the footage. Dave Mason also is a full-time guest star on Skinwalker Ranch. You can see all his gear. He's on every season. Dave Mason looked at the footage and said, I'd stake my government contracts if that's fake. And he said the reason why is because of the shadowing. Mainly on the subject, you see it walking into frame, and then it walks up through the frame like this, and it moves to the left. And we'll show a little bit here on the live stream if you stick around. He said the shadowing doesn't make sense. But I think we were all leaning towards thermal. And I think that might be where that came from, is that I'm looking at a thermal that doesn't make sense. I don't think this is thermal. I think this might be infrared. Now, I don't know that. I don't know the difference. But it looks like it could very well be a black and white image, not a hot image, like a thermal image, but almost like an X-ray shot.
In inversion, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the light and dark, but not the heat. If that's the case, then it might need re-examined by him to say, oh, okay, that makes a difference, or it doesn't.
Or what we need to do is try to recreate it with a drone, with like a thermal or a whatever. I'll let Brett chime in, tech specialty. Some sort of drone to try to replicate the same effect.
Hey, there's a costume there's a costume in Alaska we could borrow.
Well, you know, there's so
I kid.
Once we get funding, that will be the next big. Once we get funding, that'll be the next big trip. Yeah. So to be
anyway, so that's what's occurred. So my task for the viewers, nobody's bitten yet. Okay, so now the footage is viral because other people have this footage as well. And so now that I've got permission from the gang, there's about less than 10 of us. Now imagine this. When you see this footage, imagine this. 10 Bigfooters that want to show evidence over 5 years, they never released this footage online. You never see it on any of these threads or groups. You never see it here. Why is that? Why did nobody do that? Here's why I think nobody broke the code until now. It's because they actually thought that there was a witness with the real footage that was eventually going to come forward and talk about it. So the backstory on this is, how much should I say? The backstory on it is a guy in the East Coast with the initials JF gave me the footage, or gave another guy in Washington the footage who gave it to me via airdrop. And the story is that this footage came from a military operation. Don't know what kind, don't know where. And that this guy, it's secondary footage now, this guy is recording like an after action report in something like a skiff. And so he's got some kind of camera, be it VHS. And the reason I say VHS is because this might be very old footage, bypassing 5 years. This might go back to the 80s. This might go back, I don't know, the 70s, but it could go back to the 80s, just based upon the telemetry data that's available. So if this is the case, if this guy recorded it with a phone or with a camera or whatever, then he snuck it out and he shouldn't have taken a secondary image. But there's this thing called whistleblower protection. And because we're in a different age of transparency right now, if you're watching this, said military dude, I understand that you've gone dark, and hopefully not in a bad way. But if this footage reaches you, this moment reaches you, if you've been following us along, which I have no reason to believe you have, reach out to us and let us know how we can help you, because we have people that have been involved in the government that are working with the film here, Brett being one of them. How would they reach out to us, Jill?
The best way to reach directly either myself or Brett is info@bigfootdoc.com.
Okay. Info@bigfootdoc.com.
And if needed from there, we can move to secured emails if necessary. We will disclose that as needed.
So what's interesting about what you said is that this footage is starting to get released. And when it was released today, according to the guy that released the unwatermarked footage out on Reddit and Strange Familiars, he said that his Verizon account got hacked and his phone service stopped dead. He said he called Verizon and they said, we don't know why your account was turned off. It says that you have an unpaid bill, and our algorithm does that automatically if it's way past due. But we always give people a warning shot over the bow. And so they said, we'll turn it back on, but we don't know how. So I don't know. Chalk it up to whatever. But that's where we are. The footage goes live tomorrow at 7 a.m. But the members have had a chance to see it. And there's less response than I thought there would be on the threads regarding this footage. But I honestly thought it would have been solved by now by one out of the members that exist there, because there's some sleuths. There's at least a couple of major sleuths.
For sure, yeah.
And they have not come back with anything, which is crazy. So I don't know what to expect tomorrow. Like I say in the video, I'll feel pretty stupid if this is solved like that. But so far, it has not been solved like that. And there's more than 400 people that have seen this video so far today.
And tomorrow, if all of our emails and cell phones are hacked, we'll chalk it up to this. So
yeah, as long as it doesn't go full Stan Romanek, we'll be okay. So
wow.
I had to say it. Men in Black are crazy.
Oh man, that's a story for another day.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's compelling footage to definitely take a look at. And look, at the end of the day, okay, at the end of the day, I mean, if you're going to that amount of trouble to get something that you're not going to release, I mean, there's just a couple boxes that don't quite get checked. And let's be honest. I mean, now granted, if this imagery, if this surveillance footage or whatever you want to call it was taken in the 80s or early 90s, it was a different time. You know, people weren't as lazy as they are now, because I just don't see a lot of people putting in the effort for this. You know what I mean?
I agree. Now,
where
Brett,
are the go-getters of the 80s?
Brett, chime in here too in the chat. Your concern is the frame rate or the speed, as though someone's gone in, and your eyes are real dialed in, way more than mine, and you're seeing that the flicker rate, the frame rate is out of sync for what it should be, and that's concerning, because the way this thing moves seems as though it's moving kind of like a Charlie Chaplin style, you know, like hey.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not moving properly. I mean, it looks like, you know, like those old movies were shot at 18 frames a second. That's why everybody moves fast. And this looks like it was shot at like 18 frames a second. But modern video cameras, you know, going back 50, 60 years, have always been at like 29.97. So there's not a huge explanation as to why this thing is sped up or moving quick. So that's, I don't know if that's so much of a red flag as it's just a big question mark for me. Yeah, well, I'd really like to know why.
It's a concern for the fact that it could be not authentic footage, that it could be messed with, and the dials aren't quite right. Now,
yeah, a little bit. I mean, if it was a hoax, they would want to try and get it right, and they wouldn't speed it up.
The weird thing about it, Brett, is you're getting over 40 seconds of this footage, and when you pull something off, I mean, you know, Jaws in particular, all of the creature effects, you want to give the audience as little as possible and give their imagination the most. Yeah. And this doesn't seem to do that. It seems to fly in the face of what you would want to pull.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you mentioned earlier that you showed it to the Expedition Bigfoot producer, and there's always the possibility that you know, this was done for a show as a recreation or something, and some knucklehead thought it would be funny to try and see if this thing would get
out. But why isn't it available on Google?
Why isn't it available on Google? That's a great question. I mean, yeah, that's a great question. It could also be a government plant, you know, just to kind of test and see how far and wide, you know, maybe top secret files propagate themselves.
It was a test, Tobe, and you failed.
You had two heads there for a second. That was weird. I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, there are ways, you know, you can watermark videos. I don't see any watermark videos, or I don't see any watermarks per se, but I haven't analyzed the video that well. And it's like,
there's a watermark on this one, and it just says Olympic Strange Days. That way, if people want to get an explanation for it, you won't be able to see it when I show you a teaser here at the end of our live stream. You'll have to wait for the last 5 minutes to do that. But so yeah, the concern I have is the fact that it's not traceable, that everybody that told me that it's fake, they've sent me to dead ends, at least ones that I can't figure out. And like I said, if people can figure this out, they win a prize. So what do you win? Well, you win yourself a wood watcher. And it's actually one of the funnier, I guess, nicer wood watchers I've made in honor of Bigfoot. Now, it's not a, you know, it's not a golden ticket. It's not, you know, your time at Trump Plaza, but it is, it is a little bit of wood watcher heaven. And so I will send that to you. Retail probably $250 to $300. I'll send it your way. All you got to do is either sign up tonight, $5, be a member, stay around for all the membership privileges. Brett, what kind of perks do they get when they're members?
They get videos early. I'm so glad you brought this up, because you guys get videos early. There's special videos that remain only for members only, such as the director's cut of A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed, which has stuff that we didn't get licenses for, so we didn't release it publicly.
Right.
You can see more of the original vision, and you can kind of see the documentary in more of a raw form. And this is part of the reason I popped in, is because we're gonna try. I can't promise anything, but we're gonna try and live stream Saturday's events and Saturday speakers for members only. So if you're a member, you can tune in at any point during the day on Saturday during the conference and just kind of see what folks are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't technically tested it out here at the hotel. We are in a small town, and the internet's a little slower. Obviously, we're live streaming through a MacBook Pro, but I would need to set up a camera and whatnot. So
we're going to use a Commodore 64.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Commodore 64. But Tobe, before I go too far, I want to go back to this footage real quick, and I want to point out a couple of reasons why it might be authentic as opposed to a hoax. First and foremost, I just want to point out the technical observations that I've had watching this video. So number one, it is a FLIR camera, and FLIR cameras are very expensive. It's a FLIR camera with a
pause there.
Yeah.
Okay, so infrared, not a possibility. It's not IR.
No,
It's not.
because there's like a heat vision component to it. White is heat, black is cold.
You can't do IR reverse polarity.
Not very easily. I mean, IR is possible, but it's like IR is like a totally different ball game, and I don't.
The reason I say that is because someone said they saw shadows. And would you find shadow effect with a FLIR?
It depends on how sensitive the FLIR camera is.
Okay.
Because a shadow could be changing the temperature by 1/10 of a degree.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. Sorry to interrupt.
It's
Go ahead.
possible. I mean, you could go and look at how FLIR cameras will. If you put your hand on a tree, and you could walk away, and that handprint is going to stay on that tree for a good 30 seconds.
But not the shadow from a dug fir.
Possibly not. I mean, you're going to see a shadow from a dug fir. You're going to see shadows because of the light.
You will see a shadow with a FLIR.
Yeah, you'll see shadows with FLIR.
I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
go on.
It all depends. Again, it all depends. And this is technology that could be way ahead of what consumers can get their hands on. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
I don't know.
issue here, and nobody can see this, is down here. This is the actual frame on the flat screen here, and this is the telemetry data down here. Now, this is not legible, but I bet AI could make this legible to some degree. And there's all sorts of trademarks of what kind of telemetry data this is when this picture is moving, including it almost looks like an old video game, a box up in the upper portion here that as the camera pans, you see this box try to kind of lock in on the subject. And then you see like straight up locking sights, and it finds it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're looking at. Nobody knows. Nobody said it's a drone. Nobody said it's a gimbal on a helicopter. Nobody knows.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but there is a zoom lens factor. That's why everything's compressed.
Okay.
And the fact, just the fact, Tobe, that there is a zoom lens involved or an optical lens involved says that whatever piece of equipment they're using is expensive. And Mike Ferry, if he's still here, he could chime in too in the chat. But zoom lenses, especially these types of zoom lenses, can get really, really expensive. Now, this Bigfoot or this person in a costume or whatever may not even know that they're being tracked as well as they're being tracked, because drones have the capability of being way high. It's like satellites. We all know Google Earth and anything else. I mean, there's an amazing amount of tracking that you can do. We've seen it all with the UAP footage and how they lock into those crafts.
It reminds me of the gimbal footage, when they're trying to lock into the gimbal and they're like, whoa, we got it, dude.
Yeah. He locks into the thing going over the ocean, but the fact that you're talking about a long zoom, I mean, that's not a capability that you could get a hold of commercially until just a year or two ago, and you're talking about a $10,000 entry point. You know what I mean? We're actually talking about, investing in an infrared drone now for a flash of beauty, just because of all of these capabilities we now have access to. It would be very difficult to hide from something like that, whether you're cloaked or not, because if you're giving off any sort of heat. So it's just same kind of thing.
So this thing could very well be above the cloud level. If that's the case, let's just say it's right below the cloud level. Let's say it's above 1,500 feet. This subject acknowledges it twice.
Does it? Okay. Yeah, it kind of turns around. That's right. And looks. Yeah.
2 times.
Yeah.
One of them, I'm zoomed in on it. So just after this shot right here, it jostles, it jumps, and then as it moves, it looks to the right, and you see the face, the heat signature of a face of some kind. Yeah. And then when it moves, it does a patty walk, and as it looks with these stable shoulders that are kind of just married to this flat horizontal plane without sway. And so, yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, Mike brought up a couple of good points. He said, Cineflex. Cineflex is something that we use in the movies, not we, because it's too expensive, but big movies use. They're big, sophisticated gimbals where that make it possible. And these big gimbals were at one point for military use only. They've now trickled down to, you can buy smaller ones, and they've, whatever manufacturer is now licensing the technology, but it's extremely smooth footage. And if it's shot from, let's say it was shot from a helicopter, you're talking about like maybe $5,000 an hour for a rental. You know what I mean? So if it was purposefully done as a hoax, somebody spent a lot of money to do it.
Okay, let me ask you, what is the possibility that 5 years ago AI was pulling something like this off? Because you couldn't?
Not possible. No, you didn't have the computing power 5 years ago. You didn't have the GPU power. You didn't have the processing. I mean, you supercomputers, sure, but I mean, we're talking about like experimental government computers. AI is really only been capable of doing this type of stuff within the last couple of years.
The last thing I'll say is that I had 2 computer programmers come take a look at it, and they were more than that. They were invested in FLIR in a way that I think very few people are. I think that was their favorite thing to look at, and they were concerned that it was IR, but that's neither here nor there.
I think FLIR and IR are kind of interchangeable, the way I understand it. I mean, I'm not an expert in FLIR by any stretch.
Okay.
I have a FLIR camera, I use it, but I think they're more or less the same thing. It's all basically, it's like photographing radiation, in more or less. You know what I mean?
Okay, so they were concerned about the shadows. The other thing that they were interested in is there's this last frame, and we show it here. I stabilize this. I do everything short of loading into an AI generator. I want you guys to do that. That's what I want the audience to do. I want you to nerd out on this, share it with as many other nerds as possible, and get back to us. Screw the wood watcher. Share it and find out how cool this footage could be with AI, because holy cow, some of the stuff that you brought out with AI, Brett, like the fact that my voice could narrate an entire encyclopedia from 15 seconds or less of hearing me is bonkers. And now my computer knows that this has happened. So periodically the algorithm will measure my voice, and I'll be led to books like Moby Dick. And so it's bonkers what's happening. But what they brought up is that the last frame, when you watch this tomorrow, as the subject's leading towards these ATV tracks, you lose it in what appear to be pine trees. Right before then, it takes a step out in the middle of the open. And that step, if this isn't some kind of camera artifact or blurring, it looks like it's about a 7-foot long step. It's way bigger than the ones walking close to the camera. It's hard to say, but man, oh man, it's interesting.
It's super interesting. I'm actually leaning towards it being more authentic than not, just because of all the reasons that I mentioned.
Wow, I didn't think I'd hear that from you.
Yeah, yeah, and just the fact that, like you said, I mean, the strides are big. It walks like he walks like a giant person or a giant basketball player. You know, like there's just a difference in the way that this thing is carrying itself. So I don't know. I don't know.
Jill,
I'm 100% convinced, but that's the way I'm leaning.
what do you think, Jill?
Jill's coming back on. I'm out.
Okay. Thanks, Brett.
Yeah. I'm here for you guys.
Hey, Brett, you know what? You gotta make sure Joe watches that footage.
I know.
So we have a friend who's like.
Well, I would love to give it to somebody that has the last name JH. I don't know if you can get it to Heineck, but I'd love to hear how this was faked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, and.
Yes. Yes, and.
So what do you think? Where are you at with it?
The one thing the way it's sped up, I would like to see it. I don't know. I feel like obviously there's so much more to the story. I'd be interested in seeing it in its original presentation.
Because it is a secondary recording. Again, you're seeing a camera facing a screen and recording it kind of like, I'm going to get the shot, right?
Yeah.
So we don't, that's the other thing too, Brett and Jill, is that, and it sounds like I'm not fighting for it to be a hoax. I'm trying to prove it, but these are my concerns, is that if you want to present the best hoax, give them the footage. Give them you worked hard on it. Why would you record the screen? So that to me is odd.
Unless they're taking the psychological approach to create the story that I should not have this. It's kind of, you know what it is? If I may play devil's advocate, it's like when the movie The Blair Witch Project came out. It was a genius PR plan because before the movie released in July of '99,
yes,
I know that because when it released, I had a broken foot and there was a heat wave in Portland, and I was miserable. And but what they did in the months leading up to the release is they were like doing missing persons posters, and they were leaking out VHS tapes of footage.
Oh, that's right.
So I don't know.
This is equivalent to the Blair Witch. Let's just put it that way. Is it
They're
Patty?
playing the long game, though.
Yes.
I mean,
Is this Patty on FLIR? So let me ask you this, Jill. What do you think? 50-50, 20-80? Where are you at?
I'm a 70-30. I always want to give. I'm always an optimist. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I want to believe, but there's a dose of skepticism as always. But I mean,
because people, when you're burned by a hoax or you're burned, period, you never want to be burned twice. And so for me, I don't know. I mean, I'm not relying on anybody other than the hoaxer to show me how they do. Now, the London tracks were supposedly hoaxed. No one's ever come forward with that. And if you do all that work, why wouldn't you want to show off how you did it, to put egg on the face? Let me put this
credit.
Let me put this up here. Keith Luntz works for security in New Mexico on a military base. That's about as much as I can say. He just wrote me a message. It looks like a SUAV or a helicopter, a bird. It's tracking it. USFW, using FLIR vision. It's running away and knows it's being tracked. It even looks back up. The stride has to be large. It reminds me of Pursuit Chase, like you see. What did the rest of this say? Like you see down in the border of, or the LAPD YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Thank you for saying that. I don't know if you're watching here or not.
No, super valid point. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Still,
Tobe, the further down the rabbit hole I get, the more comfortable I'm saying, I don't know.
I know. Yeah. It's just kind of, it's an unnerving feeling not knowing unless you embrace it. with a little shot of Hornitos.
Now, I will say, I mean, and I also think if it wasn't people talk, and I think that whoever shot it or was involved or knew about this footage, someone would be talking, even if it's a private conversation that's not supposed to be shared. I can't tell you how many private conversations I'm on the receiving end of that, you know what I mean? Like, don't tell anyone, but, you know, it's in the vault. If you're listening,
it's in the vault.
It's in the vault.
Ellen. Wait, can you do the Ellen dance? Isn't Ellen the one that had stuff in the vault?
Isn't it Seinfeld?
But
vault.
Ellen isn't Ellen in Seinfeld, and it's in the vault?
No, Elaine.
Oh, Elaine.
Elaine. Oh,
Ellen.
I can't. Yeah, you see me at a wedding. I'm Elaine.
That's right.
Doing the
Right.
Yeah, that's me.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the motions here before we give people a little peek. Tomorrow, tell people what's going on Saturday, Sunday, Jill.
Okay, well, so Friday there's going to be a welcome reception. There'll be drinks and appetizers. You get to meet everyone and kind of, this whole event is really about one-on-one time. It's not like when you go to a conference and you're hoping maybe you'll be able to talk to a speaker. It's like, we are here for you. Like, bring all your questions and ideas and thoughts, and we will tell you whatever we know and then some. And so it's going to be a nice little reception, meet and greet, and then we're going to screen both the movies. And I don't know, it's like if everyone's seen the movies, I think it's going to be like Mystery Science Theater, with all of us kind of chiming in like Rocky Horror Picture Show style, or we'll do a classic style Q&A afterwards. We'll read the room when we get there, and then Saturday, right out of the gate, we've got some fantastic speakers sharing their experiences and their research. And that goes into the evening. We have a VIP dinner, and then the following morning, we have a bit of a panel discussion, just kind of wrapping up and making sure everyone's asked the questions and addressed the topics they came looking for answers for, and then headlights, and we're out, and that is Bigfoot Revealed weekend.
Okay, let's go through what else is happening here. Can I hit the arrow? No, it won't let me do that. Okay. Also coming up April 11th, Friday, April 11th to the 13th, you can enjoy your time at Mount Hood, Oregon Resorts. That's right, Mount Hood, Oregon Resorts. It would be a beautiful time. I've heard lots of good things about us. It's their first annual Squatch Festival. If you haven't hung out with the likes of apers in the community, if you've never met Meldrum or Clifford or any of their cohorts, they're all gentlemen, and they will tell you the straight scoop about why this is a monkey. I choose to go a different direction because said monkey told me otherwise. It is a magic monkey. And so I'm going to be there along with Michael Ferry, and we're going to be talking magic monkey. You can come to our booth and get the real scoop. I'll have my wood watchers there. A little bit of range if you come with $20. I got a $20 items. Jill and Brett, they've got some mid-range items as well with their hats, their t-shirts, all sorts of swag. We'll be presenting some interesting footage as well. Probably stuff that you haven't seen before, maybe stuff you have. There will be a film involved. From what I understand, a couple of different films. And then I will be given a presentation solo and introducing the new caretakers, perhaps, of the Al Moon Lab, because it is not so ignored these days. Also, let's go to the next slide here. UFO Fest. Jill, what do you think? Is this a conversation that we're going to have off air about my involvement with this? It sounds like
yes.
There's talk about
We'll talk about it this weekend.
Okay. So
Yeah.
McMenamin's UFO Fest coming up. You see how your year's going to be booked every day. You got this weekend, then you got the one there in Hood. Now you got to go to McMinnville. May 16th and 17th, home to the first UFO black and white, I believe, ever taken, like at least the clearest in McMinnville, Oregon. A lot of firsts. Mount Rainier, home to the term of Kenneth Arnold and the term flying saucers. But McMinnville, Oregon, if you haven't been there, go grab a Dutch bro. Come hang out with us at the McMenamin's Classic Hotel. I'll be there along with what's the guy that invented the spyware?
Oh, John McAfee?
John McAfee's ghost and I will be there. And it'll be a good time. Okay, also Phenomicon way down the road. But boy, there's some people not on the guest list this year and some new people that have been added. I think that's fascinating. Go check it out. September 3rd through 6th. Going to cost you a couple $100 to pull that off just to go. But I tell you what, it's a cool event. I don't know if we'll be there. We might be in the mountains. We don't know what we're doing. Also coming up next week, that would be March 19th. Jill, you sent me a gem of a man. This is a friend, a compatriot of the late, great Henry Franzoni.
Yes.
Boy, did I get an earful about elves. And so...
I've got a story. When you wrap up, I got a story for everyone who's listening.
Okay. So his name is Justin, I believe.
If that's what we're going with, sure.
Okay. No, what is his name? I thought it was Justin.
Do you have, I'm really like overprotective of everyone.
Oh, just
did
say
he give you clearance for his name?
Yeah. What's his first name?
Brett.
What is it?
Brett.
Oh, Brett? Two Bretts. That's why I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Brett, you're watching the show right now. In my head, I called you Justin for whatever reason. Maybe that's the name of the elf that you're working with. Now, I got a full download from Brett Jr., we'll call him, regarding the reality of elves. Now, the craziest SHIT happened with Jill and I, and it may happen again right now at your house, because my understanding is that Brett Jr. gave you an antler, and when you brought up his name, said antler came off the shelf, did it not?
Tobe, okay, so that's what I want to tell everyone about. So, and Brett sent me a message. He had some personal stuff come up, so he had to miss the show tonight.
Okay.
So, but we were talking right before this because he asked me, he's like, has anything weird happened with the antler lately? Because I've been getting like these visions and these messages about it. So you guys, the other day, like 2-3 days ago, I'm on the phone with Tobe. We're talking about Baker City and working out some logistics. And I don't remember if we brought his name up. We were just talking about all this stuff going on, people we need to talk to.
No, you said I got a guest for you.
I got that's how it came up. I got someone for you, blah, blah, blah. And as I'm on the phone, I look over, and you guys, so in my room, I have that little bookshelf type thing with the shelves behind it.
Right down the way, yeah.
Right behind me. So I'm standing off camera where I usually broadcast. And as I'm talking to Tobe, the antler, which was in the back of the shelf, came flying out and did a 90-degree, came out and went down. And I was just like, okay, that just happened.
That was your exact quote, actually. Okay.
I was like, that just happened.
Yeah.
And, but there's been a lot of weird stuff, things have ramped up around the house. And I think that has to do, a lot of people have been talking about the frequencies being really off the charts. And we have that lunar eclipse tonight. But when he messaged me, you know what, here, just let me pull it up. I don't want to mince words. And I don't want to be held liable for not getting the story straight. So we're talking other crazy stuff we'll talk about. Has the antler been exhibiting strong vibrations lately? Any odd occurrences? And I wrote, oh, funny you should ask. He asked, did it jump? I'm like, yes, off my shelf while on phone with Tobe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's weird is
history.
I didn't know who I was talking to really until I started talking to him. Once I figured out he's the guy that was at the booth that knows stuff about Henry, I was like, "Oh, you're the elf god." And he's like, "Yes, I am." And it's like, "I want the elf god. Bring it. Don't overwhelm the people that aren't elf gods with your vast knowledge." And so Monday we're going to go over how to, because he's super knowledgeable about the hierarchy. You know, like he's like Ira. Like he knows hierarchy to a degree where it's like a savant. And
he
so
is Ira level intelligence of all. You know what I mean? Just like in the know. Yeah.
So we're gonna bring it, and that's gonna be. Let's make it full. That is going to be March 19th at the Anchor. Now we missed a month due to illness, and so we're back March 19th. We didn't have an Afterlife episode. We're going to move that to May. But Elves, 7 o'clock, the Anchor Tavern in the historic town of Port Townsend, Washington. The address is 628 Water Street, 21 and over, no pets allowed. You got to leave the kids at home, but you can bring your granny. Enjoy a pint, some good food, and it should be a good time. I don't know. Cooper might show up to that one, a car, so maybe we can get a Cooper sighting. That's coming up. And then on the 18th of April, these are every third Wednesday. Now, the other thing, too, as I'll say, Jill, is now that we're doing this Olympic Strange Day weekly, I need content. So you're going to see what a live show's like. We're going to do a live show for the audience, but it's going to be taped to live. And then we'll release that as a live show. You can get an idea whether or not you want to show up one night. These are free events. All I have is a haunted hat that I pass around the room. You can throw a couple shekels in there. You can, toss corn chips in my mouth. We work for free, but not always. Also coming up again, October 9th and 12th, there's a couple of people that have bowed out. And today I filled in the spots for the people that bought tickets and are no more. Things happen, things come up. And so there's a couple coming in from Seattle that are a film team in their 20-foot trailer. They're super stoked. Their first Bigfoot event. And they just got the tickets that were replaced. Now, in July, things will change. I don't know how they will change for this event, but they will change in a matter of there may be some tickets hidden in Oregon and hidden in Washington. So 2 different pairs. And you want to come because look at all these faces here. Some you recognize, some you don't. Dave Grant, for example, you probably don't know him. He's over there in the upper left-hand corner below Aaron in the upper left-hand corner, both with baseball hats. Those 2 are lifelong friends. That's how I met him. He's an archaeologist from the Bangor sub base. Talk about crazy Bigfoot stories and crazy conspiracies. However, Maureen Morgan and Tara Harris kind of steal the show here. Bottom right-hand corner, you see a picture of Maureen Morgan, UFO I-team, ex-MUFON investigator, now a rogue beauty, doing her thing. And then Tara Harris, you'll be hearing more of her, and I can't say much more than that, but if you can't see her this year, you can always catch her in Oak Ridge, Oregon, at the Sasquatch Summerfest if you can't meet her here at our event. The last thing I'll say, Jill, before we show this footage, is that we are going to, let me delete that picture there. Where'd we go? I just want to go back to our shot. Here we go. What was I going to say here? There are 3 people that have gotten in touch with me. One 2 days ago, with as big an audience as you could want out of doing YouTube/podcast work. As big a name as you could want. I'm a huge fan of this guy's work, and he's a huge fan of our work, and I didn't know that till the other day. And he has been talking about it and showing clips. And I'll talk to you more about that off air. if this guy comes, it's going to be a major get. Now, people don't know it yet. He doesn't have a lot of name recognition because he's not a Bigfooter. He's a private Bigfooter. So let's see what happens.
Okay.
And also, my interest. I'm working on Ryan Skinner. So if the cards play out, and Ryan Skinner, novelist, been to Skinwalker Ranch, gotten behind the gate, ticked off the right people, gotten the shot, seen the grays. He's just like working out, trying to, bench press grays 24/7. Come see Ryan Skinner if he can show up. I'm not trying to guilt you, Ryan, but you really are basically.
I'll guilt Ryan. I'll start guilting as soon as we wrap up.
Yeah, he's kind of like Jack Dalton from Big Trouble in Little China, right? So he's on a mission in a semi. We'll see if we can work that out. But we got a big lineup. There's one more person that you and I know in San Diego that I'm going to have show up. He just doesn't know it yet. And that'll be the tip of the iceberg. And we'll talk about that more down the road. So without further ado, we're over by a minute. Jill?
There's no time limit here.
Okay. What do you want to say? There's no time limit.
I just want to say just two quick things, though. If you want to connect with Tara, she now has like a business manager handling the emails that are coming in. So if you want to request a reading, go to our very crude and rudimentary website, www.bigfootdoc.com. And there's a tab for Tara with her email that we set up for her. And just reach out. There's a lot of people in the queue, but they're working through them. So I just wanted to put that out there. And the other thing, you guys, if you make it out to Baker City, look, I'm advocating for more sugar and chocolate in everyone's life. Johnny at the Bigfoot Fudge Factory, if you're on Facebook, you've probably seen me posting about this. He created a signature fudge for us.
Do close up, stick it on the camera with the label.
Look at that. So it's milk chocolate with orange swirled in with edible gold.
Wait, now show it. It was backwards. There you go. Nice. Whoa. That's gold.
And you guys, Baker City is a gold built city. It's famous for its gold mines. There was a TV show, Ghost Gold Mines, that was filmed out here.
Yeah.
Ghost Mine. Ghost Mine.
Yeah, that was just out here. Okay. I will go ahead.
Oh no. Check it out. Okay, guys. Now it's campfire time. Are you ready? Let's do this. I'm going to show you a clip. Maybe a little bit more than I wanted to, just to get your beak a little bit wet. So enjoy this. 7 a.m. Is your chance to check it out for the general public. Share it, like it, all the good stuff. Let me see if I can make this any bigger. Is it Jill? Let me see if I can get rid of. Let me hide your. I'm going to hide you for a second, Jill. Okay. Here we go. That's it. That's all you get. So check it out tomorrow, 7 a.m. That's your chance to see the entire clip. I hope that caught your interest because there's a lot of information there that you can replay on this stream and find out. Win a wood watcher and stay tuned for more. There's a live stream on Saturday. Brett and Jill are going to work out the bugs for that. Stay tuned on the YouTube channel for that. And then that's it on my end. Anything else?
We'll debrief when you're here, and we'll prepare for next week because like I said, there's a lot of information that's been coming in that we need to figure out next steps.
Okay, I'm excited. Break out your EMF meter, Jill. Tonight's the night. Tomorrow's even better. We're gonna see the lady in white. Do a thing.
I brought my dowsing rods. I forgot to pack everything else, but I thought these would be a good
Oh, nice.
A good independent activity for my hands.
Okay, no comment. All right, that's it. In the stream, quick.
Okay, I guess that's it.
All right.
We'll see you tomorrow. Do you want to hang out for a second? I have questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, bye everybody. La-di-da.